The obsidian walls of the Grand Conclave shimmered, reflecting the anxious faces of the council members. Millennia had passed, empires had risen and fallen, and countless stars had sung their fiery songs, yet the air in this hallowed chamber crackled with a tension that seemed older than time itself. At the center of the vast expanse, a holographic display flickered, displaying the crude, erratic movements of a nascent star system, a system deemed insignificant, a system humanity called home. Whispers, like the rustling of ancient star leaves, rippled through the assembled representatives of the Galactic Accord, each a species that had, at one point or another, stood at the precipice of oblivion, only to be lifted, guided, and ultimately judged. The scans are inconclusive, the Andorian delegate, his carapace gleaming under the cyclopean gaze of the central projector, finally intoned, his voice a low, melodic thrum. Their technological signatures are fragmented, inconsistent, a tapestry woven from threads of genius and chaos. His antennae twitched, a subtle gesture betraying a deep-seated unease. He was the first to speak. His words the starting gun for the debate that would either seal humanity's fate, or, the Council feared, unleash them upon the galaxy. A collective murmur, a wave of apprehension washed over the assembled delegates. The Grand Conclave was a place of order, of measured deliberation, of calculated risks and guarded alliances. Humanity, however, was none of those things. It was a variable, an unknown quantity, a wildfire spreading in the cosmic void. And the Accord, for all its power, was acutely aware of its own fragility, its own history of near annihilation. They have shown resilience, the Krill Elder, his form a shifting cloud of iridescent particles, observed with a voice like the grinding of tectonic plates. Against the Cathar they held, against the Viridian scourge they endured, against their own internal conflicts they survived. A curious trait, this survival. The Krill, oldest of the Council, considered longevity the highest form of success. Humanity's mere existence was a threat to that principle. The silence that followed was broken only by the hum of the energy conduits that fed the holographic projections. It was a silence filled with a symphony of unspoken fears, anxieties, and the lingering echoes of past betrayals. The debate had been raging for cycles, each passing moment fueling the anxiety. The issue at hand was simple: humanity. A species that had, against all odds, managed to break free from the cradle of its solar system. Resilience or recklessness? The Xylar representative, a being of pure energy contained within a shimmering crystalline shell, posed the question with the chilling precision of a perfectly crafted weapon. To endure is one thing. To expand, to consume, that is another. Their history is a chronicle of conflict, of relentless territorial expansion, of self-destruction. Are we to believe they have somehow transcended these primal urges? The Xylar's very presence was an embodiment of logic and order, two qualities that humanity seemed to consistently lack. The debate continued, the arguments and counter-arguments weaving a complex tapestry of fear and cautious hope. Some argued for containment, a quarantine of their system, a watchful waiting game to assess their true nature. Others advocated for preemptive action, a swift and decisive strike to eliminate a potential threat before it could truly blossom. The Corvan ambassador, whose hulking form suggested tremendous physical power, finally spoke, his voice a guttural growl that resonated through the chamber. They are not like us. Their methods are unpredictable, their motivations unclear. They are a disease, a virus that will infect and consume everything if allowed to spread. His sentiment was one of the most popular among the Council. Humanity was chaos incarnate. The Council's deliberation was not merely a political exercise. It was a matter of survival. The Accord was a delicate balance of disparate species, bound together by a shared history of near annihilation and a fragile commitment to peace. Humanity, with its volatile nature and unpredictable actions, threatened to shatter that balance, to drag the entire galaxy into another cycle of war and destruction. The holographic projection of Earth spun silently, a blue and green marble adrift in the cosmic ocean. To the Council, it was a symbol of chaos, a potential harbinger of galactic war. The humans, on the other hand, saw it as a beginning, the future, their future. The Andorian delegate, in a gesture that was rare for its kind, raised a limb in a request to speak. The chamber fell silent. We must consider their potential, their capacity for innovation, their ability to adapt. They are not like the Cathar or the Viridian scourge. They are different. The delegate paused, his antennae twitching again, as if trying to decipher a complex equation. Perhaps their unpredictability is not a flaw, but a strength. His words hung in the air, a beacon of uncertain hope in a sea of fear, a shift in the perspective. a possibility, however faint, that humanity might be something more than a threat. The Grand Council voted. The result was a devastating decree. The human system would be quarantined, all contact severed. Any attempt to break the quarantine would be met with overwhelming force. It was an exile, a sentence of isolation. But the humans were unaware. They were still charting courses, dreaming of stars, and had no concept of the Galactic Council and their judgment of them. The moment the decree was passed, the energy within the Grand Council seemed to shift. The council members, exhausted from the endless deliberation, started to disperse and leave the chamber. The weight of their decision settled upon them. All eyes turned toward the holographic representation of Earth, their final look, or in their minds, their last observation of their inevitable destruction. Meanwhile, on Earth, the hum of scientific progress resonated through the research labs of the Solar Alliance. Dr. Eris Thorne, a human scientist of unparalleled intellect, stared intently at the readings from a newly constructed receiver array. His eyes, the color of a stormy sea, focused on the complex patterns, the mathematical symphonies of cosmic radiation. He was a scientist, not a politician, and his obsession was the unearthing of hidden truths. His current objective: decoding the strange signals that had begun to bombard Earth, signals that appeared to originate from a point beyond their immediate solar system. He adjusted his glasses and leaned closer to the console. The readings seemed to indicate a vast, intricate network of cosmic structures, a sort of artificial network. It defied the natural laws of the universe. "It's not natural," he muttered. "It's something else entirely." He felt a primal instinct, a feeling that something momentous was about to occur. "Doctor," a young assistant, eager and bright-eyed, entered the lab. "The communications array is reporting fluctuations in the energy readings." Eris looked up, his expression one of both excitement and concern. "Bring them up." The assistant immediately complied, and the holographic projections showed the data. It was the same wave, a deep rhythmic beat from the unknown, but the fluctuations, they were changing, adapting. Eris leaned closer, focusing on the data. "It's as if something is responding to the transmission." His breath hitched. This was something the team had never encountered before. It was like speaking to something that could hear them. His team watched with fascination, their hearts beating wildly as their understanding of the universe and its inhabitants began to shift. The scientists and engineers, united by their shared passion for discovery, worked in a frenzy to decipher the new wave of information. It was clear that whatever was happening was of unprecedented importance. They were on the precipice of something extraordinary, something that could change everything. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. The scientists worked tirelessly, fueled by caffeine and an unyielding curiosity. They refined their understanding of the signals, piecing together fragments of what was clearly a complex and sophisticated language. The data stream contained information not just about technology, but also about the history, culture, and social structures of the civilizations which had created it. Eris watched as the team put their lives on hold. They weren't just discovering aliens, they were discovering civilizations. It became increasingly clear that the signals originated from a vast network of space stations, a network that spanned the galaxy. The stations were remnants of a long-vanished civilization, a civilization that had collapsed under the weight of its own ambition. The data stream revealed a tragic history, a cautionary tale of a society that had reached for the stars but had ultimately stumbled. The humans had discovered a ghost. As they delved deeper into the data stream, the scientists began to realize the scale of the crisis facing the galaxy. The old civilization, for all its technological prowess, had been undone by a cosmic threat, a force that was slowly consuming everything. This threat was responsible for the civilization's downfall. They had lost. "We have to warn them," the assistant, her face pale, said one day. "We have to let them know what's coming." Eris nodded, his face grim. "We have been looking for them, and they were looking for us." But how to communicate with a galaxy that had, according to its own history, long since passed out of existence? How to send a message across the vast distances of space? The stakes were high. They knew that whatever awaited them on the other side of the transmission would be the end of their lives as they knew it. Finally, after months of painstaking work, they developed a system, a message tailored to the remnants of this long-lost network. It was a beacon of hope in the vast expanse of the cosmos, a plea for alliance, a warning of impending doom. It was time to make their move. The Grand Conclave was empty now, the holographic display of Earth deactivated. The council members had returned to their respective star systems, carrying the weight of their decision. But in the desolate emptiness of the control center, a single, lonely signal pierced through the silence. A message, a signal, a transmission. It was a signal that the monitoring stations had not picked up. They had missed something. It was the oldest of the Krill, who had been meditating in the deepest part of the ship, that first sensed the disturbance. His form shifted, his awareness extending out across the vast emptiness. He was the first to realize that something had changed, that a new energy, a new presence had entered the cosmic tapestry. The alarm system, the defensive shields, everything was offline. The message bypassed the defenses. The signal appeared to originate from the quarantined system, humanity. The Krill Elder opened his awareness and looked into the mind of the entity. He could read its thoughts and its intent. The message was long, detailed, and clear, and the message was also surprising. It held the truth, the human message. The signal was relayed across the vast network of the Accord. The council members, roused from their slumber, returned to the Grand Conclave, their faces etched with a mixture of confusion and growing alarm. What was this? The holographic display flickered back to life, the image of Earth once again taking center stage. The signal grew stronger, cutting through the silence of the chamber. This time it was no random jumble of data, no crude technological signature. It was a clear, concise message, translated into the universal language. "Greetings," the holographic projection announced, its voice calm, steady, and devoid of any hint of hostility. "We are humanity from the Sol system. We are aware of the quarantine imposed upon us. We have reviewed your history. Your concerns are noted." The council members, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of the holographic projection, stared at the display in a mixture of disbelief and growing astonishment. This was not the arrogant, reckless species they had expected. The message continued, detailing the discovery of the ancient network, the nature of the cosmic threat, the imminent danger. The humans did not speak with fear. They spoke with the unwavering certainty of scientists who had seen the truth. "We understand the challenges facing you," the voice continued. "We are not naive. We recognize the inherent difficulties in forming alliances, but we believe we have a common enemy, a threat that does not recognize borders or allegiances, and we believe that together we may stand a chance of survival." The Xylar representative, his crystalline shell reflecting the holographic images, spoke with a voice devoid of emotion. "It is a ruse, a trick, a means to undermine the existing order." The Corvan ambassador, his voice a low growl, echoed the sentiment. "They lie. Their actions are driven by selfishness. They are a threat." But other council members were starting to question the earlier assessment. The Andorian delegate was the first to speak. "Their technology is advanced," he noted. "Their analysis of the threat is thorough," the antennae on his head flicked, "and their offer is a form of partnership, not invasion." The Krill Elder nodded slowly. "Their intentions appear genuine." He didn't speak the truth lightly. This was the first time that an act of genuine good had come from the humans. The holographic projection shifted, revealing a detailed analysis of the cosmic threat, a complex, terrifying portrait of destruction. The projection gave evidence that the humans had been studying the threat for decades. The evidence was undeniable. This was not something that the Council had understood. The humans were not the brutes the Council had imagined. The human scientific analysis was an irrefutable piece of evidence, and their offer was not of conquest, but of cooperation, of alliance. The holographic projection showed images of the ancient cosmic structures, now corrupted and infested with the cosmic threat. The humans had discovered a weakness, a way to counter the threat. They had found the only way. The Andorian delegate spoke first. "They are offering us salvation." The debate that followed was different, more intense, but less fearful. It was not a debate about whether to trust humanity, but about how to best leverage their knowledge and skills. The Xylar representative was the last to agree. He stated that the humans were too illogical, too unpredictable, too emotionally driven to be trusted. They were too irrational. But the holographic display of the cosmic structures, showing the threat, showing the only solution, left him no choice. He had to agree. The Corvan ambassador was the only one who didn't shift his position. He would not trust these creatures, these warmongers, but he was overruled. The council voted again. This time the outcome was different. "We accept your offer," the Krill Elder announced, his voice reverberating through the chamber. "We will join you in the fight. Together we will face this threat." The holographic projection of Earth shifted, displaying a human scientist, his face calm and determined. "We are ready to work with you." The humans and the Accord had united. The alliance was forged in a time of unprecedented crisis. The Council's military resources were stretched to their limits. The humans, with their innovative technology and their aggressive spirit, became a vital asset. Together, they developed new weapons, devised new strategies, and began to push back against the cosmic threat. The initial stages of the conflict were brutal, with heavy losses on both sides. But the humans' understanding of the threat, combined with the Accord's experience, began to shift the balance. They struck coordinated attacks. They developed new methods of defense. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for something more. They were fighting for the future of the galaxy. One of the first major offensives was launched against the heart of the cosmic threat. The humans, with their ingenuity, built the first of its kind. A warship that could travel to the heart of the threat. The ship was manned with humans and the best from the different races of the Council. As the warship with the rest of the Alliance fleet jumped into hyperspace and neared the center of the cosmic threat, the vessel felt the oppressive presence. Darkness. Cold. The ship shuddered, the lights flickering as the cosmic threat attacked it and the Alliance fleet. The humans led the charge, their ships darting through the darkness with a reckless abandon that unnerved the other races, but it was effective. The humans showed no fear. They charged headfirst. The Krill, witnessing the humans' battle strategy for the first time, were stunned. The humans did not worry about the risks. They did not retreat. The Xyler ships moved alongside. The Xyler did not understand the need for emotion, but these humans. The Corvan ships remained as a defensive line. The Corvan did not believe in alliances, yet their instincts of protecting their own species won out. "They do not fear," the Krill Elder said, his voice echoing in the ship's control center. "They do not hesitate." Their bravery fueled the fleet's morale, and they pressed forward. The Krill, the Xyler, and the Corvan watched the humans. All of them charged headfirst into the enemy. The humans were not just fighting, they were leading. They were not just surviving, they were winning. The tide began to turn. The tide shifted, thanks to the humans' efforts. The cosmic threat, once an unstoppable force, was slowly driven back, pushed back, as the combined forces of the Alliance advanced. The Alliance fought for years. Their battles stretched across the galaxy, and the Council members began to see the true nature of humanity. Relentless in their pursuit of victory, fiercely loyal to their allies, and possessed of a profound, unwavering belief in the potential of the universe. As the war progressed, the humans didn't only contribute to the fight. They helped the other races evolve, innovate, to develop their own strengths. They brought out the best of their allies, which allowed the Alliance to fight smarter and harder. The humans had become the heart of the Alliance. It was during one of the most critical battles, a battle that would determine the fate of entire star systems, that humanity's true nature was revealed to the galaxy. The Corvan, the race that had been most hesitant to trust the humans, had been cut off from the main Alliance fleet and found themselves surrounded by the cosmic threat. With their shields failing and their weapons overheating, their destruction seemed inevitable. They prepared for the inevitable. The Corvan, unable to protect themselves, had a decision to make. They had to choose which members of their fleet would sacrifice themselves. "It is what we must do," the Corvan ambassador told his people. The humans did not understand. A lone human ship, against all orders, detached itself from the main fleet, its course set directly towards the Corvan battle. The human ship was not designed for combat. It was a research vessel, equipped with only the most basic defenses. "It is suicide," one of the Corvan officers told the others. The human ship accelerated, its course relentless. It launched a series of powerful energy surges directly at the cosmic threat, creating a diversion. The plan was simple: take the focus of the cosmic threat. Allow the Corvan ships time to escape. For a moment, all the weapons of the cosmic threat shifted their focus. As the cosmic threat turned their forces toward the lone ship, the human ship took damage. The human ship's shields were on the verge of collapsing, and its hull began to crack. The Corvan fleet used the opportunity to withdraw, their ships moving away from the line of fire, giving their warriors the chance to survive. Their escape was the human sacrifice. The human ship exploded, its lights flickering, disappearing in the cosmic dark. "Why?" one of the Corvan officers said, his voice filled with disbelief. "Why would they?" The Corvan had been waiting for the humans to prove that they were not to be trusted, that they were nothing but warmongers. The Corvan had found their truth. The Corvan, who never would understand, never would trust the humans, found themselves in shock. They could not understand. When the human fleet returned to the system, the Corvan ships were lined up, waiting in silence. The Corvan stood tall, waiting to pay their respects to the humans. The Corvan warriors began the traditional salute of respect, the gesture of honor. The Corvan ambassador, his voice thick with emotion, stepped forward. We misjudged you." The human representative stepped forward, a weary smile on his face. "We are not heroes, we are just people." "You sacrificed yourselves for us," the ambassador said. "Why?" The human representative paused, his eyes reflecting the glow of a distant star. "Because that's what we do." The Corvan would never fully grasp the human drive or the human spirit, but their alliance had been cemented. The humans had done more than save them. They had earned the galaxy's respect. The final battle with the cosmic threat was a moment of epic proportions. The humans, the Krill, the Xylar, the Corvan, and all the races of the Accord fought together. The heart of the threat was being attacked. The humans' technology had been refined and their strategy was flawless. The threat was about to be destroyed. It was in this moment, when the tide was fully shifting, that the greatest twist of all was revealed. The threat was more than an external force. It was an infection, a disease that had been consuming the structures. It had also left the ancient network of the first civilization, the one that had long vanished. The signal from the network that had first attracted the humans' attention, that had led them on the journey, was not a distress call. It was a prison. The signal was designed to lure new civilizations into its web. They were the ones who would become the new host for the cosmic threat. The network, the very thing that the humans had been trying to understand, and were using to fight against the threat, was actually the threat itself. A vast, echoing wave of realization swept over the Alliance fleet. Their victories, their sacrifices, everything was built on a lie. The humans were the first to recognize it, the first to truly understand. Dr. Aris Thorne, his face pale with a realization so profound it seemed to steal the very air from the chamber, stared at the readings. The data stream shifted, its patterns changing in ways that defied all known laws of physics. "It's a trap," he whispered. "We've been lured into a trap." The Krill elder, his form shimmering with a newfound understanding, conveyed the news to the rest of the Alliance. "The signal, it is not a beacon of hope, it is a prison, a trap that has been awaiting us." The council chambers fell silent. The Xylar representative spoke. "This changes everything." The Corvan ambassador turned toward the humans, his face a mask of shock and bewilderment. He didn't know what to do. But the humans didn't hesitate. They were not afraid. They had been afraid once, but they had overcome that fear. The human representative stepped forward. His voice was calm, steady, and resolute. "We understand the implications," he said. "We are prepared to do what is necessary." "What is that?" the Krill elder asked. The human representative paused. He took a deep breath. His eyes, fixed on the holographic projection of the ancient network, revealed a depth of sadness. He knew what he had to do. "We must destroy it," he said. "We must destroy the network, we must destroy it all." A wave of shock rippled through the council. Destroying the network meant severing all ties. It meant abandoning the possibility of communication. It meant isolation. But the humans were unmoved. "It is the only way," Aris said. The Alliance was silent. The humans had made the choice for them. The humans led the final assault. They had refined the strategy, using their technology. But they were still humans, and in that moment the humans were the ones who would have to pay the ultimate price. The final battle was a dance with oblivion. The human fleet, with the Krill and the Xylar in support, pushed towards the core of the network, the location of the source of the false signal. The Corvan, once again, acted as a protective barrier, buying them time. The humans pushed forward. Their ships were not the fastest, their technology was not the most advanced, but their determination, their willingness to sacrifice was unmatched. The Alliance launched a massive strike, a coordinated attack against the center of the ancient network. "Fire!" the human commander shouted. The command rippled through the fleet. "Fire!" the human ships cried in unison. The attack was a beacon of light against the darkness of the cosmic threat. It was the only way to destroy the threat. The world shook with the impact of the attack, ripping through the network's defenses. The network began to crumble, its power began to fade. It was almost complete. But as the network collapsed, the signal reached out, a final, desperate attempt to ensnare its prey. The network's signal changed. It was no longer a promise of friendship. It was a threat. The signal locked onto Earth. The signal moved toward the planet, reaching for the only hope, the only goal. The only way to save the galaxy. The human fleet had to make another choice. Another sacrifice. With the network about to collapse, the humans had a final option. They had one final ship, a warship with the power to destroy the signal. The ship, designed to be the only thing that could ever stop the threat, was sent toward Earth. "We will not let it touch our planet," the human commander said. "It is time." With an epic burst of energy, the last warship, the only one of its kind, charged toward the planet, the only thing that stood between Earth and a cosmic plague. The rest of the Alliance watched in silence, their hearts full of fear and admiration. The last warship accelerated, its trajectory locking in on the signal. The ship launched a barrage of energy. The cosmic signal slammed into the ship. The explosion shook the fleet. The last vessel vanished in a flash of light, sacrificing itself, protecting the planet and protecting the galaxy. The signal was gone. The threat was no more. The network was destroyed. In the aftermath, the galaxy stood silent, awestruck. The threat had been defeated. The universe was safe. The humans had gone to the end and beyond. The Grand Conclave was somber, reflecting a sense of both loss and liberation. The chairs of the human representatives remained empty. There was silence. The Krill elder spoke first. "They are gone." The Xylar representative spoke. "They saved us." The Corvan ambassador, his voice thick with emotion, stepped forward. "They died for us." The silence hung in the air, a testament to the sacrifice that had been made. The Krill elder shifted. Their sacrifice, it was noble. The Xylar representative nodded. They were logical in the face of chaos, ethical in the face of despair. The Corvan ambassador looked toward the empty chairs. They were the most human. But the silence was also filled with a new understanding, a newfound respect for the species that had once been dismissed as a threat. The humans, in their final act, had shown the galaxy what it meant to be truly human. They had been underestimated, they had been feared, but in the end they had saved them all. The Andorian delegate spoke. "They are not gone. Their impact will be felt forever. We must never forget their actions. We must strive to honor their memory." The Grand Conclave would never be the same. The humans, though gone, had left an imprint on the galaxy. The Council voted once more. It was a vote to honor humanity. "We recognize their actions. We recognize their sacrifice. We will honor them forever." The Council announced a new era of cooperation and understanding, an era built on the foundation of the human sacrifice. The stars above were witness to a profound truth. Humanity had not only refused to die, they had taken the galaxy. A new age had begun. The galaxy would change forever. The universe had been forever changed by humanity. The galaxy had found its heart.